Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Untitled Reviews. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series finale of Squid Game. Great series finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, just in the game itself, we are immediately picking up where the last game left off. Only people left in it is Junhee's baby, Gi-hoon, and Myung-gi. And it's kind of like, oh, it's a baby, okay. It's like, okay, so how is this going to play out? How is this going to fare out? And when it comes time to switch to the next platform, Myung-gi's like, nah, we're not doing that. Which I think is kind of an interesting detail. At every pillar, like at every stage of the game, there's always one pole there. I do think it's interesting that the final section does not have a pole. I guess it's because they wanted to make it, because at least having that, they wanted that to kind of be like your assurance, like you'd always be able to keep some distance between you and somebody. Like, it's always there. These games are meticulous in that regard, but not having one for the final one makes me go, oh, they wanted you to have to push whoever it was. They want you had to get close and personal. They want they want you to kind of be deluded enough that they think you can keep doing it over and over again. But specifically, if you notice, there wasn't a poll. Wait, was there one? And I'm just misremembering? I could have sworn there wasn't one, because didn't he already have? I don't remember if he lost the poll when he pushed. No, I'm pretty sure he still had it when he pushed 100 off. So I think that's the poll from the second pillar, not the third pillar. Do correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm saying all this BS and I'm completely wrong. But I'm pretty sure there was no poll for the third one. But like I said, I could be stupid and didn't notice him picking up. But I think he still kept the one from after. I'm pretty sure he used that to push 100 off. But either way, it's not really a tangent. It's all relevant. But Myung-gi is on the other side of the pillar, and before Gi-hoon can get across, Myung-gi stops him. Is like, put the baby down, and you stay over there. And Gi-hoon's like, what are you gonna do? Are you going to kill the baby and keep the money for yourself? And he's like, don't worry about it. Just stay over there. And it's like, you don't have to do this. I'll go over there. I'll be the player that gets eliminated. But Myung-gi can't trust anybody. I mean, that's also the thing. Like, this game just shows, like, it shows time and time again, not always, but a majority of the people always chose the selfish route, always did what was best for them, their self-preservation. But there have been multiple instances throughout this, too, of people doing the good thing, too. It just is outweighed by the bad, and it's just Myung-gi's own, whatever experiences you bring into it, thinking the worst in humanity. The game is a personification of that. This is what humanity really is. At its worst, is what really humanity is at its core. Like, humans aren't good, that humans are bad. And so that's personified with Myung-gi, where it's like, hey, do this. And it's like, is Myung-gi, like, wouldn't the best option be to try and bring the baby over? But it's like, Myung-gi's thinking, I don't even want to take the risk. Like, maybe I could save the baby, but it's like, even in the end, you couldn't do right by the baby. I was begging and pleading. I was like, at least let Myung-gi try to do the right thing. Maybe when it's all, that's the thing. Even if things played out the way they wanted to, who's to say what would have happened in the end? Because, like, say, like, they still had 39 as their lunchbox. Like, what would that have been? Like, there's a good chance he still would have killed Gi-hoon if given, because they would have, no, it's like the game wouldn't have immediately ended. They would have let the game keep going until, like, oh, we'll just have to run out the clock. But Myung-gi is selfish enough, he probably would have killed Gi-hoon. God knows he might have still killed the baby. I mean, even with all that going on, he's not thinking about what's best for the baby. I mean, it's such a hard thing to say, because I'm very pessimistic when it comes to Myung-gi. I'm thinking, like, yo, he's going to make the wrong choice. I wanted him to make the right choice, the selfish choice. I was hoping he would, but then he wouldn't. And I was like, well, the game can only end one way. And exactly played out like the way, I'm sure people were already kind of feeling it was going to end that way, but I was kind of hoping it wouldn't. So I was kind of like, maybe something can happen, but especially when it turns into a tussle before the game even starts, I'm like, no one's pressed the buzzer yet. So if a death happens, it's not going to count. So I figured as much. But either way, getting into it, it's just like, maybe on some level, if he had won the game and him and Junhee's baby had won the game, then maybe he would have done the right. But it's also like who he is at his core. Like, he's selfish in it, but he's also desperate. So this is a person pushed to their limits, but it's like you did some selfish stuff before, you did selfish stuff throughout the game, you weren't really interested in Junhee and her baby. The fact is, you wanted her to get rid of this baby, but should that be an indictment against you trying to do the right thing now? But it's like you haven't done the right thing up until this point. But it's like Junhee didn't let you, but you kind of proved to do the dickish thing multiple times. Because the thing I didn't even think about with the whole Hyunju of it all too. It's like Hyunju got pissed at him in the what was it, the third game, the room game, because he locked Youngmi, like locked her out, and she ended up getting killed. So it's like I didn't even think about that in episode 2, that coming full circle in its own way. But like I said, it's just like he would claim that what he does is for the greater purpose of like, oh, it's just him trying to help out Junhee as well as everyone else, and once again at the core of it, self-preservation. So there's a lot of layers to kind of really think about in that moment, and just when it comes to Myung-gi, especially because he's like the Sung-woo of this particular game. I get it was always there, I think, but especially as we got down to it over and over again, he definitely was pulling some Song-woo manipulation, kind of being sort of the smartest dude in the room. But yeah, like his inability to believe in that Gi-hoon would try to do the right thing, even though Gi-hoon has shown repeatedly throughout the game that he is trying to do the right thing. But it's like, once again, when you're scared and you're pessimistic and the world has kind of made you extremely jaded, like there's no way you're going to believe in the good of people, especially with your own life at the line, and it's like you're willing to cast aside. Like, I mean, once again, proof enough is like when he's desperate enough to be like, hey, I'm holding this baby over here, like get away or I'm gonna kill this baby. Like the fact is you'd even get to that point and knowing that you could stop Gi-hoon by doing that kind of shows who you are at your core. But once again, should you be, and once again, it's a complicated layer thing, should you be defined by who you are your worst day? It's about who you are every other day. But the problem is he's had some pretty bad days back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Once again, it's like once or twice is one thing, but continuously like making the wrong choice and messing up, it becomes a pattern, and that kind of starts defining who you are as a person. That's what I'm saying. Like I said, maybe that's me taking a very pessimistic view on Myung-gi's character, and I guess that's up to each person to kind of interpolate and take away from it in that regard, So, but also like the moment like Gi-hoon is like, hey, I'm gonna protect this baby because I made a promise. He's like, what, to Junhee? He's like, why? Why would she trust you, someone she doesn't know? It's like, wait, you guys knew each other, didn't you? That's why she was so always following you around. It's like, once again, she didn't. Because I guess also for Myung-gi, it's him filling in some gaps. He's like, oh, obviously you have to have some correlation and connection. There's no way she would follow you around unless there was something. It's like, no, she doesn't know him. He just proved who he was time and time again. And it's like, I would rather leave my baby with him than my piece of shit baby daddy. That's what it is at the long and the short of it. But yeah, Gi-hoon taking a knife out of that guy's body, jumping the bridge before it moves. The whole tussle, him threatening the baby, and like I said, it coming down to the situation of like them both falling over the edge, and I was like, yeah, the jacket's ripping, and it's kind of like this could have been prevented. Like Gi-hoon, I think, would have sacrificed himself to at least, because Gi-hoon's thing was, I wanted to come to this game to save someone, and it managed to like not save anybody. He was trying to do the right thing, what he believed by the right thing. You can make the arguments about his hero complex. He kind of had a death wish because of everything, like that he chose the selfish route over and over again in his own regards. But, and once again, it comes down to how you view Gi-hoon, because you could be like, no, he's a selfish dude again and again taking these gambles and risks. It's like he has a hero complex. I think that's true. Doesn't negate the fact is that he was trying to do some good, but you can also make the argument, hey, it was all revenge. His motivation wasn't about saving people. They were an afterthought. It was about revenge, but, I think both things can be true at once. I don't think they're like mutually exclusive, But yeah, the jacket's tearing. I thought Gi-hoon was going to try and like bring Myung-gi up, but there's nothing he can do in that moment. And Myung-gi falls to his death, and you're like, cool. The game hasn't even started, so now it comes down to Gi-hoon and the baby. And the crowd is thinking like, well, Gi-hoon's going to, because they also said it like, and we never got an answer, but one of the VIPs is like, Has anyone ever won the game twice? So it makes me also wonder, like, because I still was unclear, like, has anyone ever played the game twice? Let alone won twice. Has anyone ever played the game twice? Why would you ever need to? When you have, I mean, you could always burn through the 45.6 bill, but still it's the situation of, like, most people probably wouldn't. But no one would have any reason to re-enter the game. And so they're assuming, like, right, he's going to kill the baby, and just that conversation of, well, sometimes some goodbyes are the hardest. And, you know, like, at the end of the day, like, the moment came down to that. Like, once Myung-gi was, like, in a position to die, you're like, well, it can only end one way. And like I said, it ended the way it did. And Gi-hoon sacrificing himself, it's like, at the end of the day, he's like, we're not horses. We're humans. Humans are, and I think he was going to say, like, humans are complicated. But at the end of the day, like, humans are good, because he's taken this bet time and time again. He's seen that, yes, people can be shitty, people can be greedy, people can be all about protecting their self-interest, but he's seen time and time again people making personal sacrifices time and time again for the betterment of others, or willing to make that sacrifice for others. And it's like twofold. You could look at Myung-gi as like the Songwoo of the situation, and instead of like being selfish up until the very end, until like Songwoo ended up killing himself. In this regard, you could make the argument that Gi-hoon's like the new Songwoo, because the sacrifice was made for him to live and to kind of make up for everything, and now like Gi-hoon's trying to do the right thing in the end too. You could also take it back to 44's whole thing of he's haunted by all those ghosts, like all your friends and stuff. They will haunt you until the day you die. So it's like, I'm doing what is best for this baby. This baby will survive. And it's just, but I'm going to also showcase that we aren't horses for you to parade around. That the fact of the matter is, we can be good. That humans aren't like a monolith in the regard of we're purely bad or purely good. It's like we are an amalgamation of both. We can be so evil and bad, but we can also be capable of such good and selflessness, even if it might have started with the motivations of selfishness. And but Gi-hoon kills himself. And like I said, for that to kind of come full circle, like how the first season ended, how the series ends with him sacrificing himself like that. And I think it's interesting. It just speaks volumes that none of the VIPs like had any snarky remarks. No one had any like, no, I can't believe you did that. They just like it. That becomes that larger question in the grand scheme of things, because you, once again, it's one of those endings you can look at. I mean, in the grand totality, we'll get to it when we get to it, but in grand totality, you can be like, was it fruitless? Was it even worth it? Was it worthless in the end? And at the end of the day, you can have your own judgments about it. Like, it depends on how you want to look at it. There is definitely the pessimistic lens to look through. Like, did it even matter in the end? Did you go through all that for nothing? You abandoned your daughter for nothing? But it's like, did his sacrifice, everything he did it have an impact? And I think it did. Question to becomes, does it have a lasting impact? Who did it impact? Like, did the VIPs just be like, oh my God, that was so entertaining, that was so breathtaking? Did that impact them in some way to see like, yo, this is someone doing something selfless? Once again, they had no remarks. They weren't like, oh my God, haha, I can't believe he did something crazy like that. Maybe we stuck around them long enough, we would have heard that conversation. But the fact is, we didn't. Makes you go like, maybe that did have a profound effect on him. I think it had an effect on Inho, but we'll get to that soon enough. So all the while this was happening, they talk to 246 and find out where the island is, and Hwang is going off on his own, and the Coast Guard is on their way. So when that's all said and done, it's like, right, a clock is ticking down. You're almost wondering, like, will Hwang get to them in time? And sadly, he doesn't. And so when it's all said and done, too, Noelle, like, starts looking through everything, because she doesn't just burn, like, that, like, 246's file. Everyone in the 2024 file gets burned. And then she starts spreading alcohol to kind of burn the rest of the files. And she looks through the workers' files, and she finds her own. And it says, you know, once again, husband executed, child dead. So it's kind of like, right, her motivation for doing all this is gone. She came looking for her child, and so in the end, she's about to kill herself. And then she hears the baby crying, Joon-hee's baby crying. I thought, like, oh, is she going to help Gi-hoon, and then like maybe like I figured maybe either she'll help Gi-hoon, probably not. I was like, he'll probably kill himself. She'll still take the baby as her own to kind of fill that void, but she didn't. She left the island. But I think for her, it's just kind of like, no, I'm gonna keep living. because it did say like her child was dead, but I guess that was like no confirmation, like because that was her whole reason, reason for living. So I don't know. I guess later on makes it kind of imply like, oh, they were wrong, or she knows her child is dead, but there's some child out there that's alone that she's trying to. That's what I'm not sure about. Like, either she's like, yo, this file was lying, or it's like there's some child out there that maybe it actually is mine, and maybe the file was wrong, and maybe it was a lie in case I ever, or maybe it's like a thing of it was believed to be dead type of situation. I mean, that could also be the point, like she left it a situation where they think her child is dead when in actuality her child's still alive. Like either that's something she kind of set up, or well, because why would she still like? Why would that like hit her if she thought, if that's what I'm saying, like if it was a setup to be like, no, my child, I faked my child's death so no one knows it's still alive, or what? I don't know. I'm confusing myself. I'm kind of being stupid about it. Sorry. But anyway, she just left the island. Inho, it's so hard to read him because you don't know like what's going through his mind. And obviously the game gets shut down, the explosives are set, but he goes over and gets the winner of the game, 222, Junhee's baby. But beforehand, he walks over and he sees Gi-hun, and you can't tell, like, I brought this up like last episode too, like when he saw Gi-hun not kill the others while they were asleep, but he did. What does that mean for Inho? Is he proud of Gi-hun? Once again, it's like, I'm actually glad that you proved that there are good people. I am very jaded when it comes to the world. I see the worst in people, but you showcase like, no, you were the best of us, and it's like, you're not are you an anomaly? Are you one of like, out of a billion people, are you one person that would make that decision? And it's like, I don't think you are. But even amongst people who do the good thing, like, would they follow through and make such a selfless decision? I mean, we saw Junhee did, so we saw with Gyeomja, like she did. She stabbed her own son just to protect Junhee and her baby. So I like I said, just that moment, you're just like, I don't know what's registered on his face. It's hard to read him. It's like, does he believe, like, is he actually kind of proud of Gi-hun making that choice? Or is he kind of thinking it's a waste? Or just kind of like the Il-nam conversation too of like, I won this bet and I won this gamble too. And when it's all said and done, he takes the baby. Hwang catches up to him and it's like, yo, Inho, like, why? Why did you do all this? And he doesn't get an answer for his brother as he leaves. The island's exploding. He didn't pay enough attention to see that. Because later on the conversation comes up of like, oh, did Gi-hun come and collect all his money? It's like, no, Gi-hun did die. But I guess like with everything going on, Hwang didn't see, like, probably it was so far away, probably couldn't make out the bodies from this far away. It's like, yeah, like so much stuff was popping off. He needed to get off the island before it explodes. And he did. I was also worried. I was like, is the Coast Guard not really going to be the Coast Guard? Could that people on the inside? But it's like, no, ended up really being the Coast Guard. Still doesn't mean there weren't people there. They only knew because they saw like the boat, like radar while the final game was going, saw the boat on the radar, and then like knowing that the Coast Guard got called, they shut everything down. And then we see someone come and collect Gi-hun's money. And then we time skip to 6 months later. Noel is checking on 246 and his daughter. And they definitely seem to be better. So I don't know if like she took some of her earnings and secret. Because he's like, oh yeah, someone helped like pay for it. So I'm curious, did Inho like secretly take some of Gi-hun's money and pass it on there? Could we find out later on it was Inho? But I'll get to that in a second. I had a feeling like it would be Inho because the whole conversation is, well, only 3 people knew where the money was. Was it Woo Seok, Choi, and Hwang? They're the only ones that knew, and Gi-hun, but it's like, no, Inho as well. They always kept an eye on Gi-hun. They always knew what he was up to, where he was, so there was no getting around that. So, but like I said, I don't know if like, it's most likely Noel like used some of her own earnings to kind of pay for 246's daughter, but like, oh, she's good. He's like, oh, but why do you seem so familiar? She's like, I used to work at a park. He's like, that's probably what it is. And he's like, wait, you know my daughter? It's like, oh yeah, like I heard about your daughter's condition when when I used to work here. And he's like, oh, okay, cool, cool. And he's like, wait, I didn't finish the portrait. And she's like, I'll come back some other time. And because obviously she's going to come back from time to time to check on her to make sure she's okay. It's kind of nice. It's kind of there's some beauty to like he managed to get out of the game alive and to be there for his daughter and that she's better. But then like Noel gets a call about, hey, I have some ideas on where like your daughter, there's someone that matches her description in China. At the same time, we see Sabiok's brother and Song Woo's mom meeting up with Sabiok's mom. Like like the guy kept his promise, and it's like that's why I also say like it was all worth it in the end because Song Gi-hoon set so much of that in motion, and it's like if it wasn't for him, like none of that probably would have been possible. I mean, that guy like felt bad knowing like oh like he owed it to Sabiok, and Gi-hoon also makes sure like he wanted to make sure things were done right, and so we learned about that in like episode 2 of this season of season 2, and so seeing that like right there is a lasting effect. He wasn't the selfish guy we met in season 1. He's trying to do right by Sabiok and finally reunited her brother with their mom. And it's kind of nice knowing like that did pay out in the end. For one, that her brother was taken care of in that 3-year period after the first game. Well, it took about 2 years because like Gi-hoon was like self-destructive and just like, out of it, just kind of drowning in his sorrows for that first year or so. But at least with he made sure he was taken care of in that 2 years by Song Woo's mom. But now it's like they're reunited, and that's kind of nice, and that's kind of a beautiful thing. Sabiok knowing like it was all for something. That at the end, like at least her brother was taken care of, and eventually like her mom and her brother are finally together again. So there's something there in the end, and we find out she Noel like last time we see her, she's going to China just on off the chance it might be her baby. Like I said, I don't know if that's just a thing of it's not hers, but it's like there's some child out there that maybe it is mine, maybe the reports are wrong. Like I kind of like was willing to take myself out, but then I stopped after hearing that baby cry. So whether it's my child, maybe it's another child, who knows. I got a little extra reason to live. I also need to check in on 246 and his baby from time to time. So but then other than that, we have the situation of Huang coming to pick up Choi, who's been in prison for like 6 months. And then there's the whole conversation about, it's Huang going to go back to the police. But it's like, after all of this, no. Like, how much do like the general public know? Like, how much is Huang vindicated? Where it's like, well, the island exploded. People saw that. Like, how much evidence was left at all? I mean, the files were burned, and even if they weren't, they were destroyed. So it's all, yeah. But when it's all said and done, though, they do ask about the money. And when Huang comes back to his place, he finds Junhee's baby, as well as the card with the winnings on it. So, and I think it kind of speaks volumes that he had to wait a bit, but Inho reached out to his brother because it's like, right, you'll never see me again. This was your last chance, but if I'm going to leave this baby with anyone, it should be with someone I do trust. I do know the good person you are, brother. So it's almost like I think there's also, I almost wonder on some level, did he also hold on to the baby so long too? Because the child he lost along with his wife, like I wonder if it kind of filled that void a little bit, and knowing like this kind of fills that void for you and mom with me gone. But I mean, because in like I think Huang's done. It's just kind of like he saw his brother again, and now it's like this was his last chance, and like with them kind of going underground, like where can I find my brother? I mean, we have no idea like what he's doing in the grand scheme of things, but we have Choi buying the pink motel, and it's like, oh, we're gonna run this and we're gonna operate out of this, and the guy's like, oh, so who else are we hiring? He's like, it's not gonna be anyone else but you and me. And it's like, oh, this is where all the money was. What if Huang took it? It's like, well, he wouldn't need to, considering like the 45.6 bill he's got already. But it's like, oh, I do wonder where the money went. And we cut to Los Angeles. I was like, oh my, I was like, Inho, huh? And it's like, yeah, he's delivering it to Gi-hoon's daughter. And that's where I think, like, this is where I'm like, he didn't have to do that. Like, he went out of his way to do that because I think on some level it's like, he liked Gi-hun. He respected Gi-hun. And it's like, this is my adversary. And like, you proved to me the good in people. And it's like, it did have a profound effect on, because like, I don't think In-ho would have done that for anyone else. He did it specifically for Gi-hun because of what he did. It's like, you did it. That's why I'm like, it mattered in the end that the Game Master, or at least one of the Game Masters, was heavily impacted by this. And who knows what the future holds for In-ho in the grand scheme of things, because he was so profoundly affected by Gi-hun. But like I said, by the end, it's like, did it matter in the end? Who knows? But the sad thing is, it's like, I know your dad. Is like, well, my dad, did he send you to check up on me? It's like, well, tell him I want nothing to do with him. He can forget about me. Don't contact me. And then In-ho's like, your dad passed away, and these are his belongings. And just kind of like her world getting rocked, because the last time she talked to her dad was episode 2 of season 2. And, you know, because obviously it's been at this point, it's been a couple months. But at that time, like, between like the last time they talked and him dying, it had been a couple days. But it's like, it's been a couple months since she heard from her dad. So he checked in on her from time to time. But even then, it's like, he never said anything. But she was like, Dad, is that you? I'm also curious when it comes to the actor who plays Sae-byeok's brother, and the actress who plays Gi-hun's daughter older. I'm like, I wonder, did they just get actors who look extremely like them? Because like, specifically, it kind of looked like that could be the same actress who played Gi-hun's, like, the younger version of his daughter. Like, that seemed like it could be the same actress, but I could be completely mistaken. It's been, because I think we only saw her like, what, 1 episode of season 1, so obviously that was like 4 years ago, maybe even longer when you consider like, well, at least maybe 4 or 5, depending on, like, you know, the production, stuff like that. But yeah, he left her with the card and like her dad's jacket. So maybe they'll be able to find out what happened, what Gi-hun was up to. It's like, your dad did something to try, like, you know, it was to make things better for you. It was also to, you know, pay for your grandmother's thing. But you could also make the argument that ended up not working out because his mother ended up dying while he was playing the game, and he ended up dying. And it's like, well, she would rather have had you than the money. That was always going to be the case. She needed you to be there. So that's where it comes into the selfishness of, you're so consumed by your revenge, you didn't just get on a plane at the end of season 1. You came back, spent the next few years dedicated trying to get your revenge. That's where I'm like, it both things can be true, both selfish and selfless at the end of the day. But man, I just but like I said, I think it is interesting that In-ho made that choice at the end of the day. And then he's leaving, and as he's leaving, he hears some smacking going on. I was like, and this kind of got slightly spoiled for me. It's no one's fault but my own. I just came across something in reference to this. It just, there was a break in between me watching episode 5 and episode 6. If I had just already went ahead and watched episode 6 when I had a chance, I wouldn't have to worry about it. But it is what it is. But I kind of got it spoiled on like that very ending, well, that scene where we see Kate Blanchett being like the game person who like finds the players, and she's playing the game, and she looks at In-ho. She knows who he is and kind of gives him the nod. But I'm like, it's unclear, like, does even In-ho not know the grand scope of this game? Like, yes, Il-nam kind of started things on the Korea side of things, but was he the like arbitrator of everything? Like, was he the full game master? Like, does In-ho look like is he the overseer of everything, or different countries that, like, yes, he's an overseer of South Korea, but America has a different overseer? Is he aware of who the overseer is? Once again, these VIPs are different from the ones from season 1. So there is a lot of people, rich people, a lot of power in play here. And I've said that previously. There was no stopping this game. Even if you managed to stop it to some extent here, In-ho even said, you could kill me, but you just find a different replacement, like, to fill the void, and the game would continue. And that's the thing, like, this is too large. It's too much of a large world scaling thing. And that's the same, like, I don't know if In-ho is fully even aware of the grand, like, has a game expanded beyond even his reach. So there's so much going on that even he doesn't know, but he recognizes it, or what, but just kind of him like, huh. Like, she's smiling towards him, and then, like, he just kind of, once again, he's hard to read. And that's just kind of it. That's kind of, it's a sour note of an ending, because you're just like, right, the games are so worldwide. And that's been that conversation of, is it? Well, there's also been the rumors. I don't know if it's been completely confirmed I think that was the long running rumor that David Fincher is working on an American version, which, the conversations were, I hope it's not like an American remake. It's like, no, it seems like it would be a continuation. The events of the Korean Squid Games, of Squid Game, have happened. It's just, this is Squid Game in other countries. And, what games would be played, what people would be involved. There are rumors about a big time actor. I think that might be teased at the end. It ended up not being the person. Spoiler, it's not even a spoiler. I think I remember hearing the rumor was like it was going to be Leo. Leo's name was Leonardo DiCaprio's name was going to be like, oh, there was going to be a tease for like the American Squid Game, which I think is ironic considering you got Kate Blanchett, who's Australian, isn't she? She is. I just had to confirm that. But yeah, it's funny. But it's also like you needed to get like a pretty recognizable enough face to be like, hey, that's a pretty, bit well-known actor, type of situation. So there's something beautiful and also very tragic and sad just about the ending. Once again, I mean, there was probably never going to be a happily ever after ending in this regard. It was always going to be tragic, but there are silver linings to it. So I could see how, especially that aspect of the ending, could probably piss people off. I don't know what the general reception of this season is. I'm sure for a lot of people, it's like, you should have stopped at season 1. Feel how you want. I like season 2 because, once again, I treat it as season 2 part 1 and season 2 part 2 rather than season 2 and 3. So I don't know how people feel about it as a whole. Probably people, I saw someone's opinion, they thought it was bad. I saw, once again, I haven't read the room. I don't know what the general reception has been to this season. I'm sure for some people it's like, yes, there were people, even when they heard like, oh, there's going to be season 2 because the show was so successful, they were like, okay, it's, people always like, oh, the first season was so great, you're going to, like, by continuing, there's a good chance you're going to ruin it. I loved where it ended up. Once again, as sad and as tragic as it is, because I'm always bummed when a show has a sad ending. Once again, there's silver linings of hope and stuff, but still, like, overall, you're just like, once again, it just depends on which side of it you really focus on, the more pessimistic side or the more optimistic side of things. I still thought I really enjoyed it. I really liked last season. I really liked this season. It's sad that it ended the way it did, but it also feels so befitting in the grand scheme of things for, because I think even probably Gi-hoon is like, I was living on borrowed time that like I owed to like everyone else around me. I lucked out a lot in season 1, and it's like I made it this far, and I had to keep going for myself, but also other people, and just to kind of prove a point as well. So, like I said, to me, I look at it as more of I don't think it was worthless. I think it mattered in the end, and I think you won't really know the true effects until, depending if that American adaptation of the Squid Games ends up happening or not. But I think it was worth it. Like, what Gi-hoon did, I think, did have a massive impact. We just don't know the full ripples yet. We've seen a little bit of the ripples, but we haven't seen whether they create waves later on, so... But that's kind of where I'm going to end things off. Obviously, big shout out and thank you to everyone involved in the show from top to bottom. Hwang Dong-hyuk, the writer and creator of the show, to the cast and crew in front of the camera, behind the camera, everyone involved with this crazy production. It is wild to see it in. Like I said, there's depending on how things play out, there could be more in the future. But these characters and these stories for now, the chapters are closed, and this is the end. So thanks you to everyone involved, and everyone involved, I wish them the best in their future endeavors, whatever they may be. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.